Hey guys, welcome to Series World. Today I'm going to explain a mystery thriller series called Behind Her Eyes from 2021. Turn on subtitles and spoilers ahead. The third episode opens with David standing beside Adele, who's pretending to be asleep. The scene changes to a forest, where a floating door appears. Back at the office, Louise has arrived before everyone else. She's sitting in a chair, visibly distressed, remembering what happened the previous night. Meanwhile, David leaves for the office, trying not to wake Adele, but she's already awake. Louise is now seen making coffee. She goes to David's office and sits in his chair. When she tries to leave the room, she bumps into David, startling both of them. David unintentionally blocks the door, preventing Louise from leaving. Louise politely asks him to step aside and leaves. Sue arrives at the office and asks Louise how she's feeling today, as she took sick leave the previous day. Louise replies that she's okay, and that a cup of tea will fix her right up. Sue goes to make some tea. Meanwhile, David receives a call from Adele, asking when he left the house and what time he arrived the previous night. David can't give a specific answer. Adele tells him she loves him. David doesn't respond, and Adele almost forces him to reply. After that, he ends the call and goes to meet with the patient and their family. The scene cuts to Adele. She's in David's room sniffing his clothes. She goes to the bedroom and texts Louise, asking to have lunch together. Louise ignores her text. Adele starts thinking about the past. Flashbacks show Adele and Rob smoking a cigar. Adele tells him David will be mad if he finds out, but Rob tells her not to mind David, as this will be their little secret. Rob then expresses his frustration that the instructions for lucid dreaming aren't working. Adele encourages him to keep trying. She asks where he'd like to go in his dreams. Perhaps home. Rob replies that his home isn't a place he'd like to visit. His parents are dead, and his sister doesn't care about him. Back in the present, Adele is counting her fingers and trying to drift off to sleep. Meanwhile, David arrives at Louise's place. She asks him the reason for his visit, but he can't give a proper answer. He tells her he had a very bad day and can't go through it again. Louise lets him in, and they start chatting. David asks why she got divorced. Louise explains that her ex cheated on her with a co-worker, and after that, she didn't date anyone seriously. Louise asks why he's unhappy in his marriage. David replies that they've lost their connection. Louise doesn't want to continue the conversation, so she tells him to leave, and David exits awkwardly. Meanwhile, Adele is cooking a multi-course dinner for David and waits for him to return. David comes home and heads straight upstairs, ignoring Adele. She calls him and asks him to have dinner together, but David is visibly upset. Adele asks if it's happening again, and David retorts, asking if she knows it's happening again. He starts laughing hysterically and leaves the dining room. The next morning, Adele goes jogging in an area known for drug addicts. When she returns home, she texts Louise again, asking to meet. Louise ignores her once more. David calls Adele from the office, and Louise eavesdrops on their conversation. David asks Adele what she meant the previous night and expresses his worries. Adele avoids giving a proper reply. David asks where she'll be today, and she says she'll go to the gym and maybe have coffee at a cozy cafe. David becomes upset and starts shouting, asking if he has to change his job again for her. Adele assures him she's fine, and David hangs up. Louise returns to her work. Later, Louise is at home and finally replies to Adele's texts. The next morning, they meet at a cafe. Adele confides in Louise about David avoiding her and sleeping in a spare room. She admits she has no one else to talk to. Louise holds her hand and promises to listen. Adele then asks about Louise's night terrors. Louise admits the instructions aren't working, and Adele insists she must keep trying. That night, Louise sits with the notebook again, pinching herself and following the instructions. In the notebook, Rob describes his dreams. His family chases him to kill him. One day, the method finally works, and he sees a door in his dream, just as the instructions said. Rob opens the door and finds himself in a beautiful garden where Adele stands in a beautiful dress. A butler serves them drinks. Back in reality, Louise wonders when she'll find her door. The next morning, David is having breakfast. Adele comes downstairs and David gives her another bottle of pills. She hesitates, but he forces her to take them in front of him. She pretends to swallow them but spits them out as soon as he leaves. The scene cuts to Louise preparing files for David to sign. Sue asks when she'll leave, and Louise says after the signing is done. Sue leaves, and Louise takes the files to David's office. While waiting at her desk, Anthony enters the office, agitated and aggressive. He swears at Louise, demanding to see David. David steps out, calms Anthony down, and takes him outside to talk. Through the window, Louise watches as David convinces Anthony to follow ground rules. He'll only come for scheduled sessions and will call the office in emergencies. David also makes him apologize to Louise. After Anthony leaves, Louise chats with David in his office. David brings out alcohol and they start drinking. He tearfully insists he's not a bad person, and Louise comforts him. Their embrace escalates, and they end up making out on David's desk. Later, Louise drinks with Sophie and confesses she feels guilty for kissing David, especially since she's friends with Adele. Sophie finds this amusing. Louise admits she likes both of them. Adele is kind and lonely, while David is good but depressed. For once, Louise decides to follow her heart instead of overthinking. Sophie disapproves and makes Louise promise to cut ties with both. Louise lies and agrees. The next scene shows Louise and David making out in her apartment. Later, she meets Adele at the gym. This cycle repeats until one day. While lying in David's arms, Louise notices burn marks on his arm. He explains he saved a girl from a fire long ago but avoids mentioning it was Adele. That night, Louise has another nightmare. This time, she finds a door. Touching it burns her hand, but she opens it anyway. Inside, Adele stands screaming in a fiery room. Louise slams the door shut and opens another to find David on fire. She wakes up screaming and sobs in Adam's bed. The scene shifts to Adele checking mail. One letter, addressed to David, catches her eye. Flashbacks show young Adele signing her properties over to David. After the meeting, she meets Rob, who questions why she'd trust David so completely. Adele explains he doesn't know everything. She wears his watch because his hands are scarred from saving her. She insists David will take care of her. In the present, Adele jogs in a dangerous area searching for someone, but everyone avoids her. Meanwhile, David calls Adele on the landline, but it goes to voicemail. Louise overhears. Adele gets into a fight with a girl and is punched in the eye. Later, David confronts her about the injury. Adele claims she hit herself on a cupboard door after the pills made her dizzy. David asks why she didn't answer the phone, and she says she was icing her face upstairs. He seems convinced and leaves for appointments, ignoring her request to spend the day together. That night, Louise tries lucid dreaming again. This time, she finds a beautiful yellow door. Inside, she enters a cozy apartment with a freshly baked pie. She eats a slice, goes upstairs, and cuddles a plushie, sleeping peacefully with a smile. Meanwhile, David returns home to find Adele waiting with wine. He sits beside her and asks for the truth about her black eye. Adele deflects, criticizing his late arrivals and drinking. David laughs bitterly, admitting he can't take care of her anymore. Adele reminds him they share secrets and he can never leave her. David agrees, and the episode ends. To watch more explanations of these kinds of series, click on the videos on your screen. And don't forget to let me know how you feel about today's video in the comments down below. And at last, thanks for watching.